thought it'd be good to make a film about children, but to make a grown-up film about children and not, you know, the usual stuff, the stock Hollywood stuff that comes out.
What's so extraordinary is four such disparate individuals can look so natural as a family.
I think that Tim wanted to set up, you know, this normal family, and that's always mum and dad.
It appealed to me to make them, you know, the mum and the dad, and not to give them any other kind of, you know, description.
This could be the Joneses, the Smiths, the Davises, the O'Reillys.
You wouldn't last a minute without us, Dad.
Oh, he's awake.
He's the sort of dad that I hope that people will look at and say, oh, I wish that was my dad. He's a great dad.
We had 2 weeks of rehearsal, and Lara was very quiet, but would get more involved. I mean, Freddie kind of removed himself a little from the rehearsal period. Lara would start to get involved, but still they were very, very nervous. You know, most of the talking was done by Tilda and Ray, but that seemed to fit.
Tim pushes you very hard, but it's good because at the end of the day, the results are so brilliant. What I've heard and what I've seen are just really good. Basically, he wants to get the best out of every actor, yeah. He'll never settle with second best. He wants the best and he gets it, and I respect him very much.
He's taught me through a lot of the scenes, helped me through a lot of scenes with the emotions of it and how to draw the right emotions for the scene, which for me has been very useful because I wouldn't want to do it on my own.
This script and what it's about, the emotions they're allowed to play in this film, you know, is tremendous. You don't see children with parts like this, you know. I mean, they carry the film.
And when she leaves, do you want to leave in time?
No. Just
make for the gate,
yeah,
right?
just
so when you leave,
Make for the gate,
make for the gate, and you watch her go.
Yeah, I was watching that on the last one.
Yeah, but
where's
Freddie, can I see you on your mark, please? Freddie.
Dad needs to be dadness, and that's where we get into the difficulty, because you know, a father who is abusing a child is no longer a protector. The second he takes that step, and what does that feel like for another child who needs him to go on being dad and knows that he's not?
What is that?
I saw you.
Saw me what?
In the bath with Dad.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
What do you think I was doing? He had a bath, I got in and he got out.
That's not what I saw.
Well, that's all it was. Where were you? It's a pretty weird thing you're suggesting if you're saying what I think you're saying.
There were so many murky areas about incest clarified by the intelligence of the script that, no, I didn't have any doubts at all. I mean, this is something that can happen in any family.
I didn't set out to write a book about incest or abuse. I set out to write a book about betrayal, I think. I mean, about a parent who betrays the trust that you have as a parent.
The only person that would recognise that this was the situation that was happening would be the people involved.
You lied to me. I saw you together in that shelter. I saw everything.
I think it's also a subject that I've seen treated very badly in film, and with a lot of preaching, and there's no solution to this at all. So I thought, okay, let's start with that premise and adapt it and keep going along those lines.
I've had your mother on the phone screaming about getting the police and asking me to leave the house. What's going on, Tom?
You know what's going on.
No, I don't. What have you been saying?
What do you think?
I don't know. I'm talking to you. You tell me. What did you say to her?
I saw you.
What do you mean you saw me?
I saw you with Jessie.
I'm always with Jessie. I'm always with you. I'm your dad.
I wish you weren't.
How can you say that to me? I'm your dad.
No, you're not. I hate you.
What have I done to you for you to hate me?
I mean, what I wanted to do was tell a story about what people do to their children, on many levels. But with this, it's within the family and how the actions of an adult can destroy generations, and and destroy also the people they claim to love.
It's a very harrowing and sad film, but I think at the same time it's a beautiful film.
I think it's just deeply, deeply sad. It's heartbreaking. Sort of similar principle as when you read scripts. Just you have a gut reaction to something. It doesn't mean it's going to be a success or in any way, but it's just something had an appeal. And I suppose the films that I like which have had a lot of impact on me would be films like My Life as a Dog and To Kill a Mockingbird. And I have children. I thought it'd be good to make a film about children, but to make a grown-up film about children and not the usual stuff, the stock Hollywood stuff that comes out, and something that was very serious. And I think it's also a subject that I've seen treated very badly on film. So, and with a lot of preaching, and solutions. And there's no solution to this at all. So, and the book didn't offer any. So I thought, okay, let's start with that premise and adapt it and keep going along those lines and don't veer from them. If you had somebody coming through the door and you go, oh, that guy's fucking his kid, it'd be over. It has to be somebody that you would never. The only person that would recognise that this was the situation that was happening would be the people involved, but nobody else would. So it could be, your next door neighbour. It could be you. It could be your wife. It could be anybody. And that was absolutely the intention. We had I think we saw 2,500 or something. There were only, I think, a couple of them that were actors. What I wanted was to find young actors or people who could make into actors. But people who had absolutely no experience whatsoever. And Lara they found walking down Portobello Road, and Freddie I think was coming with a friend because he thought it was extra work.
Tim's wonderful, yeah, and he pushes you very hard, but it's good because at the end of the day, it comes the results are so brilliant. Like what I've heard and what I've seen are just really good, and he's a genius. Well, I went into an open casting thing in Soho, and just walked in there, wanted like an extras part or something. I thought it was extras work, so I got in there and there's like people dressed up nicely and all that, and I went in there just like really tired and just like got in there and they said come back tomorrow, so I went back the next day, and then the next day after that they said come back next week. So it just went from there, and I met Tim, and that's it. He phoned me up and said, I went to a screen test as well, yeah. I had to screen test with Tilda, Ray and Lara. And they said, yeah, phoned me up a couple of days later, said, yeah, you got the part if you want it. Tom sees Jessie and Dad in the bath together when he's coming home from a shopping trip with his mum. And from there on, his mission in the film is to expose them. And he goes to the shelter. There's this wartime shelter, and he goes down there and films them. He follows them and films them with his video camera through the slit in the wall. But he can't handle that, so he throws the camera off the cliff, and then he goes about it other ways.
I think it says something really vital, which is that this film is a film told through the character of Tom, and that everything in the film and everybody in the film is seen through his eyes and is translated through his consciousness. And so mum is mum and dad is dad, and that's who we are. And anything else that we are is really not important, not relevant at all. So it's his film, absolutely.
They've never worked before, and I don't know, they've just got a natural thing about them. It's frightening, you know. I think when me and Tim were watching the screen tests and working every day with them, you know, just look at one another and think, why are we even here? you know, we've 20 years been trying to do that, and they do it like that. But that's just a natural thing. I think the problem is once you start learning something, you know, then you start to lose that naturalness, and then you have to learn how to get it back again, you know. But they're tremendous, and I think the thing in our country, there's not that much good stuff written for kids. You know, and you watch kids' things and you go, oh my God, you know, our kids are better than that, you know. Give them so. And this script and what it's about, the emotions they're allowed to play in this film, you know, is tremendous. You don't see children with parts like this, you know. I mean, they carry the film.